consciousness is arguably the most amazing thing to exist within the universe. It's allowed us to become aware, to experience things, to understand that we are alive. Before we had obtained consciousness, you, me, everybody experienced that almost infinite stage of dark nothingness. So long it felt short, and then bam, you're alive. You're conscious. Some call it turning on. It's easy to understand that we as individuals haven't always existed. Your consciousness was only allowed to become aware when it had a brain to create it or to inhabit. And though we have people all over the world arguing what we will experience after death, most people don't discuss what we experienced before life. So what did you experience before you were alive? This is a very deep question, so we're going to provide you with 3 perspectives and let you be the judge. Facts, thoughts, and the beyond. The first, and arguably the most important perspective, is the biological perspective, more specifically, neurology. It for the most part specifies that you experienced nothing prior to you being alive. Your consciousness is a result of chemical processes interacting with lobes in your brain. Without those processes, your consciousness does not exist biologically. So in other words, no brain, no you, by almost any means. To take a much deeper look, your consciousness for the most part is made possible due to a sheet-like neuron structure known as the claustrum. Scientists often express how remarkable this structure is, due to it being able to receive input from all regions of the cortex, as well as projecting output back into all areas of the cortex. Scientists believe it also synchronizes time between various parts of the brain. Its importance with the involvement of consciousness was solidified in 2014. Remarkably, scientists at the University of Washington accidentally came across a phenomenon while trying to discover what was causing seizures in a patient while using deep brain stimulation to investigate within the patient's brain. When they placed a single electrode next to the claustrum, they accidentally stimulated it, which caused the patient to lose awareness. They verified that by asking the patient to repeat a word while they stimulated the area. Instead of preventing her from speaking, she gradually said the word more quietly each time. She went on to be unable to respond to auditory or visual commands, but was still awake. Once they stopped stimulating the area, the woman immediately regained consciousness and was completely unaware of what had happened. While this finding has the potential to open up the door to completely new understandings when it comes to consciousness in the brain, it begs the question, is the claustrum truly the keystone of consciousness, or the very least, awareness? As of now, strong evidence is leaning toward yes, meaning it may be what makes you real. So in respect to the question of this video, this perspective leans toward the fact that you experienced nothing prior to your brain developing to a point where you were conscious. That dark nothingness is nothing more than your brain trying to make sense of dark nothingness that happened before you turned on. And that's where most people in academia would probably end the discussion. But let's go beyond just the facts and think a little. This leads to the pinnacle of some of the most intense philosophical perspectives, the what if. So, if consciousness is a byproduct of the brain, is your consciousness the only one your brain could produce? Another interesting question, if you were teleported to an area, which would involve sending a blueprint of yourself to a location, to then be made out of materials at that station, and for the sake of this example, for some reason the blueprint is sent to 2 stations and creates 2 of you. If you are a byproduct of your brain's chemistry, how can you explain there being 2 completely different consciousnesses from the same exact brain? Which one has your specific conscious, if either of them? To tie this back to the video's question, if consciousness is just a physical process, there would be 2 of you alive at the end, both having the exact same memories, personality, and so on. But now with 2 independent consciousnesses. So, did both of you experience the same life? Could this mean there are multiple potential consciousnesses that are experiencing the same life as you, but are not alive yet? Another outcome to consider is, if consciousness is something beyond the physical brain, would one body remain unconscious, and the other body would have your specific consciousness? So, could your consciousness have always existed, and was just waiting for the right body to meet the right biological criteria for you to become alive. Could this mean your consciousness has always existed? Was that dark nothingness we all experienced only an incomprehensible wait until we turned on? These are unbelievably fascinating questions. So here's one last perspective. Could theoretical scientific ideas explain an eternal consciousness? Explain the before life? The last perspective is a little out there, but nonetheless fascinating. Using quantum physics in an attempt to justify how consciousness could transcend in both space and time, Dr. David Hamilton brings up an interesting point about the interconnectedness of the universe, known as entanglement in quantum physics, an observable and real phenomenon. To brief you on it, two electrons, for example, created together at the same time, are entangled. This means if you were to put both on the opposite ends of the universe and stimulated one, the other would react as well. Instantly, they are still connected. They are entangled, implying that everything in the universe is still touching, given that everything was once entangled during the Big Bang. This could mean that space is a construct that produces an illusion that makes us perceive things as separate objects when they potentially are not. So yes, all the jokes about time being an illusion, well, there's the potential spaces too. With that said, Hamilton brings up a class of particles known as fermions, particles that must follow the Pauli exclusion principle. No two fermions can be in the same location at once, anywhere throughout the universe. Hamilton, along with other scientists like him such as Brian Cox, show it implies that when a conscious being does something, all fermions in the universe must take your fermions into consideration to not break the Pauli exclusion principle. So every time you think, you affect fermions in your brain, implying that all 10 to the power of 80 fermions throughout the entire universe must take them into account. If everything is connected, your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, your thoughts, all accounted for. Hamilton further suggests that recent experiments and quantum physics have extended the idea of entanglement in space to a possible entanglement of time, with the past, present, and future having the potential to be connected in the present moment currently affecting the past, saying that particles of the present are also smeared into the past and future, suggesting our perception of time is only part of the story, for all time is simultaneous. So even though we tend to look at the macroscopic for answers, maybe just as many answers lie with the microscopic. Are we exploring in the right places? Because according to Hamilton, the point of power is definitely in the present, and the present also exists everywhere and every win. So, what did you experience before you were alive? You very well may have been experiencing the very essence of the universe, while at the same time, the universe was experiencing you. Whether this perspective is true or not, who knows? But maybe there is hope that we will one day actually know, once we consider the context of what exists already. If you enjoy this mind-bending stuff, check out the channel Think Fact. He helped us make this video and makes content like this all the time. And please subscribe to Top Trending.